January 1942. The Soviet 54th Rifle Division issued a specific directive from its field headquarters near the Medvedegorsk sector. The document authorized a payment of 3 million Finnish marks for the capture or confirmed death of Lieutenant Lauri Törni. Soviet military records categorized Törni as a primary threat to rear area logistics. He commanded a specialized light infantry detachment within the Finnish 12th Infantry Regiment. This bounty remains the only recorded instance of the Soviet Union offering a specific monetary reward for an individual Finnish officer during the conflict. Major Viktor Danilov oversaw the intelligence sector of the 54th Division. He compiled a report detailing the losses attributed to Törni's unit over a 90-day period. These losses included 42 transport trucks, 6 fuel depots, and 2 field communication hubs. Danilov viewed the bounty as a logistical tool. He believed the financial incentive would encourage desertion or provide leverage for local informants. He presented the plan to the NKVD observers as a cost-effective method to stabilize the front. He prioritized the administrative success of neutralizing a tactical outlier. Finnish signals intelligence units at the Mikkeli headquarters intercepted the Soviet transmission. They utilized Valmet-built receiving stations. The message utilized the standard Soviet field code of the January cycle. Intelligence officers decrypted the text within 6 hours. They confirmed the figure of 3 million marks. This sum exceeded the annual salary of a Finnish colonel by a factor of 20. Lauri Törni sat in a dugout 3 kilometers from the front line. He received the decrypted report from a courier. He placed the paper on a wooden ammunition crate. He picked up a 9x19 mm parabellum round. He checked the brass casing for deformities. He did not adjust his seating position or comment on the valuation. The Soviet 54th Division is increasing its radio output, Törni said. He pointed to the map coordinates of the Soviet headquarters. High-frequency traffic suggests they are stationary and concerned with security. Their fuel trucks have not moved in 48 hours. Törni used a brass divider to measure the distance between the Soviet supply depot and the 102nd railway siding. The distance measured 14.2 kilometers. The terrain consisted of secondary growth forest and frozen marshland. The ambient temperature remained constant at -38 degrees Celsius. He instructed his detachment to reduce individual pack weight by 2 kilograms. He ordered the removal of standard-issue leather equipment. The men replaced them with canvas bags. Törni inspected the Suomi KPI-31 submachine guns. He tested the 71-round drum magazines for fit. He ensured the magazine catch engaged without vertical play. A gap of 1 millimeter in the magazine could cause a feed failure when the metal contracted in sub-zero temperatures. Major Danilov waited for reports from his long-range patrols. He studied the personnel files of the Finnish 12th Regiment. He anticipated a lapse in the target's operational security due to the pressure of the bounty. Törni checked the wax on his skis. He applied a harder grade suited for dry crystalline snow. He led his 30-man detachment into the forest at 22 o'clock local time. They moved in single file. They maintained a pace of 5.5 kilometers per hour. The sound of their movement remained below the threshold of the wind noise in the pine canopy. They did not carry radios to avoid electronic detection. Tutudai focused on the physical requirements of the march and the fuel levels of the Soviet vehicles. 2:45 local time. The temperature at the 102nd railway siding dropped to -44 degrees Celsius. Törni's detachment reached the perimeter of the Soviet 54th Division's forward supply depot. He observed the sentry rotation from a distance of 60 meters. The Soviet guards cycled every 15 minutes to prevent stage 1 hypothermia. Törni used a mechanical stopwatch to calibrate the gap between the relief shifts. Major Danilov remained inside the heated command bunker. He reviewed the promotion list for the upcoming winter offensive. He had authorized the distribution of extra rations to the internal security platoon. He viewed the bounty on Törni as a closed administrative matter. He expected the Finnish officer to either flee or be neutralized by an informant within the week. He did not order a change in the perimeter patrol frequency. At 2:48, Törni signaled the assault. He utilized the Suomi KPE-31 in short, 3-round bursts. The 9x19 mm rounds penetrated the canvas of the Soviet supply trucks. One burst struck a fuel bladder containing 500 liters of low-grade gasoline. The ignition occurred within 2 seconds. The fire provided the only illumination for the engagement. Törni entered the primary communications tent. He destroyed the radio transmitters with a single 71-round drum magazine. He did not search for intelligence documents. He focused on the physical destruction of the hardware. The engagement lasted 180 seconds. Törni's unit withdrew into the forest at 2:51. They followed a pre-calculated extraction route through the frozen marsh. The Soviet reaction force reached the burning depot at 3:05. They found 42 casualties and 0 traces of the attackers. Major Danilov survived the raid. He reported the incident as a large-scale battalion assault to avoid a formal inquiry into his security protocols. Years later, the theater of operations shifted. 18 o'clock Indochina time, the 18th of October 1965, Lauri Törni, now Major Lauri Törni, sat in the cabin of a Ch-34 Choctaw helicopter. The Ritar-1820-84 engine generated 1525 horsepower, causing a constant 12 Hz vibration through the airframe. The fuel gauge needle jittered at the 400-pound mark outside. The humidity reached 95%. Heavy rain obscured the peaks of the Annamite Mountains. Thorn monitored the altitude. The pilot attempted to maintain a ceiling of 500 feet to avoid North Vietnamese anti-aircraft fire. The cockpit temperature remained at 32 degrees Celsius despite the rain. At 18:03, the helicopter entered a localized downdraft. The pilot's controls lost hydraulic pressure. Thorn reached for the emergency release lever. The aircraft impacted the mountainside at a vertical speed of 1,200 feet per minute. The Pentagon listed Thorn as missing in action for 34 years. In 1999, a recovery team located the crash site. They recovered a Finnish-made ring and bone fragments. The DNA analysis confirmed the identity. Thorn was buried in Arlington National Cemetery under a stone bearing his 3 ranks from 3 different nations. Historical records present a conflict of data. Finnish archives list him as a Mannerheim Cross recipient for tactical excellence. Soviet records label him a war criminal for his service in the Waffen-SS U.S. Army. Records cite him as a founding architect of the Green Berets. These classifications exist independently of his physical actions. He remains a point of divergence for military historians. The data indicates he optimized his behavior for the single objective of kinetic engagement with communist forces, regardless of the flag or the geography.